trip actually luxurious, or is it just marketed that way? In today's episode, we are breaking down the Instagram versus reality of travel and how luxury is marketed, whether it's from curated imagery, influencer deals, and buzzwords like exclusive or all-inclusive. I think this is a really fun topic to talk about, and as we dive into branding and psychology of branding, this one really ties into a lot of the things we see on Instagram. There's a lot of these trips and locations that seem really luxurious and fabulous, but are they actually that way? And then also, if you're not someone that maybe has a travel bug yourself, why so many people are really hung up on going on all these adventures. Not that adventures aren't great, but it's also like, what is the psychology behind why do people feel so compelled to spend all this money on these luxurious trips and experiences? Are they actually enjoying it, or are they doing it for some other reason? So we're really diving into the psychology of travel marketing, and let's just go ahead and get right into this episode. All right, so point number one, we're really going to focus on the psychology. So when it comes to travel marketing, think about why they use the words that they use. And if you're in a different industry, you can definitely apply this to yours as well. Just really take into consideration the conscious use of certain vocabulary words. So when it comes to travel marketing, we really see a lot of words like luxury. And when you hear the word luxury, you think status, you think scarcity, you think indulgence, you think I'm worth it, right? Like I'm on vacation, so I'm worth it. That role of FOMO also plays a feature in those destination ads and the influencer content. You feel like you're missing out by not being at this luxury vacation. If you're not at Euro summer, or you're not, going to Hawaii, or you're not living on this, fabulous beach, it is marketed that way for a reason. And that reason is to get you to feel FOMO, to really play on your emotions, to get you to go to that location. Because in your mind, you're not just thinking about what it would be like to be there, you're also placing yourself in an emotional state of how you would feel when you're there. Right now you feel, oh, I feel so sad that I'm not at this great location. If only I got to Euro summer in the south of France, would I actually feel happy? Now I think that they really play on that when it comes to marketing. I'm not saying that's really a great thing or not. I think you should be happy wherever you are. But for some people, they feel like they're chasing that constant feeling that comes with travel. And the luxury travel industry really plays into that and taps into that. It's like, you're worth it. Spend your money this way because you're worth it and this will make you happy. But does it actually make you happy to spend your money on these trips? That's up for you to decide. Now, we can think about the psychology, the emotional aspect, feeling that fear of missing out, feeling like the words luxury and I deserve this and I should treat myself to this. That all sounds really great. But what counts as luxury in travel? So if you're thinking about true luxury, you might be thinking about things like space, privacy, service, personalization, a custom experience, an experience that feels really true to you, something that feels like you would actually genuinely enjoy it. And then we can talk about faux luxury. This means a high price tag or fancy branding. So you pay for a really expensive hotel in hopes that it's going to deliver on that, and then it doesn't. This has actually happened to me before. We actually went to a really fancy hotel and the customer service was horrible. And I'm not gonna call out the name of the hotel, but it's a luxury experience typically. The customer service was horrible. They didn't know what was going on and they were all over the place. And you expect more when you're paying a premium, and I think that's that faux luxury firsthand. Now you also think about how amenities can kind of get dressed up in marketing copy. Is it actually as nice as it is? So is a garden view a real garden view, or is it a parking lot shrubs? And I think it's important to think about that too, because a lot of times when you look at a website for an Airbnb or for a hotel, it looks sometimes a lot nicer online, and then when you experience in person, you're like, wow, this is a lot of marketing and a lot of jargon. And I think it's important to think about that as you're booking your trips too, and to just kind of be conscious of that going into it if this is really something that you want to spend your hard-earned dollars on. So where do people get tricked? I think people get tricked in a few ways. So all-inclusive resorts, the feeling and theory of having an unlimited access to food or drinks or whatever it is really enticing to a lot of people. However, sometimes that's only like mid-tier food and drinks, and then there's also sometimes an asterisk with a lot of information about other things you can't get. And I think that's one that people get hung up on. But the word all-inclusive can be a little misleading to some people. Next, we look at boutique hotels. So with boutique hotels, you have the idea of like a charming boutique hotel versus like a very cramped boutique hotel. So the boutique hotel might feel nostalgic and cozy. And maybe when you actually get to the hotel, it's a little bit more smelly and it's a little not as cozy and maybe it's a little dusty. And a boutique hotel can use that in its marketing to make you believe that it's charming. Next, we're gonna talk about VIP experiences. So these could actually just be regular tours with a premium add-on. And the word VIP makes it also feel exclusive. It gives you that feeling of FOMO. It gives you that feeling of elite status. So that's why people typically tend to buy a VIP experience. And also airline upgrades can be marketed as luxe when they're marginal. So they may make it feel like it's such a big deal to have this extra leg room or to be placed in a certain spot on the plane or to have, you know, this amazing breakfast, then it comes out, it's just like everyone else's. Those upgrades can sometimes be marketed as luxury when they're really just the same as what you'd be offered. They're just asking for a premium price. So now you know a little bit more about what counts as luxury travel, maybe some hung up areas where people get tricked. And then also we're gonna talk about how you can spot those red flags in travel marketing. So if you're someone who's looking to go on a trip yourself, you guys know I like to provide these tangible takeaways. Think about some things that you see within the marketing of the location or the destination where you're going. Look for overuse of words like exclusive, elevated, curated, VIP, things like that. Look at stock photos versus the real traveler photos. So I recommend not looking at the website. I recommend going to Google and looking through the actual photos and reviews from actual people that went to that resort. I would also think about those too good to be true bundling deals and see what you actually get outlined in bullets as to like what is actually included in the price. And then also look into those hidden deals. Once you get to those hidden fees that also really don't kind of help with that deal that you think you're getting. So when you go to that checkout page, look to see what those hidden fees are and if they're worth it or if it's worth, you know, maybe considering another location. So how can you tell if an experience is truly worth it? Say you're ready to you're ready to send it and spend all this money on this fabulous trip. I would recommend reading those reviews, like I said, outside of their website. So go on TripAdvisor, Google, Reddit, go on, you know, YouTube, see people's like real life examples of them walking through the resort that you're staying at. I would also think about comparing like the square footage, amenities, and like what's included to the other competitors. So pull it up, maybe put together a spreadsheet if you're organized like me as to like, this room is this big, this room is this big, this room is this big. Which one makes the most sense for me and for what I'm looking for? Also look for specialty. So if you're looking for things in the description that make things a little bit more exclusive, whether it be butler service, room service, 24/7, access to the fitness center, things like that that can personalize your experience and encourage you to either make a decision over another. And then also trust like real traveler content over influencer partnerships. Keep in mind a lot of these influencers are paid to go to these locations, so they're not going to talk about bad things that happen there. They're also probably going to get a different customer service experience than a typical person who's going to walk through those front doors. They're going to be nicer to the influencer because they're going to want the influencer to talk highly of the staff there. They're going to want the team to be on board with whatever the influencer wants to do because they want to make sure that they're getting the good content. They're probably treating the influencer to dinners and other things like that that do not come free. So when you're getting it for free, it's a little bit different than using your hard-earned dollars to buy it yourself. So really look to actual people and actual user content over those influencer partnerships when you're looking to book a location. So as we close up this podcast episode, know that true luxury, it's not about aesthetics or like the vibe of what you think it's going to look like based off some influencer campaign. It's really about the experience and are you having fun here? And also, are you having more fun here than you would be back at home? I know I'm like a homebody to say that, but I did do a lot of traveling in my life and I do enjoy it sometimes, but then there's times where I'm like, if I'm going to travel, I want it to be like cool and fun and I want to feel comfortable and safe and I don't want to feel like I'm spending all this money to stay somewhere that's not as nice as my house. So that's just me personally, and I think that people who like to go on these fun excursions, that's awesome. I love to do that too, but just going into it with that mindset of knowing what you're getting into. Luxury, it can also be simple. So if the vacation is stress-free, if the service is thoughtful and it's comfortable, it might not be 5 stars. Maybe it's 4, maybe it's 3, but you know what? The service and the team is going above and beyond and the room's super clean. It might be a better experience than splurging for something that you might not be treated as nicely. You never really know. So the takeaway, I would say, just don't spend their money and buy like the dream or the thought, like research if that's real and if it's really obtainable for you for your trip. So luxury travel and the travel industry as a whole is really interesting to kind of break down how they do their marketing. And hopefully today you learned a tip or trick about, maybe if you're looking to book a trip yourself, or if your friends are booking a trip, maybe send them this podcast so they kind of know what to do before booking it. I want you to go in there with realistic expectations and to have like a really actual epic time. So I hope you can take some of these tips and tricks as you plan your next crazy trip. And I hope you guys have an awesome time doing it. Thank you guys for tuning into this episode of Branding with Bex. Catch up with you all next week. In the meantime, keep building your brand or business that's